What's up, guys? CJK1231 back again with another album review. Now, you can see from the title, it's not Q-Tips Amplified. I realized, due to my memories of that album not being favorable, and plus I just did Tribe's original run, I'm kind of getting burnt out on Tribe stuff, and I decided to review albums from modern times, what's going on now, instead of like looking back at the past. You know what I mean? I mean, it's always good to go into the past and look about things that happened before, because it's like Papa Wu said, in order to know where you're going, you gotta know where you came from. If not, you'll never know where you're going. So I did that with Tribe, and I'm gonna get back to it. It's just I'm taking a little break from it right now. I want to review, however, the album I stumbled onto and listened to 2 days ago, as of the recording of this. That is Common's Let Love album. Yo, I'm gonna be honest. Because the sound has changed drastically from my favorite Common albums like B, Finding Forever, like Water for Chocolate and Resurrection, I knew that because this album was coming out like in these times, 2019, it was going to be drastically different, maybe more upbeat, sort of like how nowadays is with the music. I'm not going to be a fan. I'm not a fan of a lot of hip hop that's out there now, but I'm always willing to give an open ear. And so I was walking. I think I was walking just to walk out and get some exercise, and I let this play. Now, as I let this play, at first it started off what I thought would sound like a more upbeat, just like how it would sound nowadays, the production and stuff. But man, after the first track, by the way, I love the first track because I've listened to it like 4 to 5 times already within a 2-day span. That's how much I love this album, bro. First off, this is Common's 12th studio album. Yes, he's been in the game since 1992, the year I was born. He came out with his first album in that year, Can I Borrow a Dollar, with No ID. And not only that, but this album is very, very soulful, in the vein of like Water for Chocolate and B, which Common, I think, said himself is the feeling he got when he made this. This might be Common's most personal project as well, similar to Jay-Z's 444, Fonte's, what's that Fonte album? Damn it. The Fonte album that was similar to that, the cover was all black and white. If anybody knows, you can comment below, or I'll research it and mention it in a future video. Man, the production is very amazing on this album and cohesive. I don't think there's one track that I don't like as far as instrumental wise. Like, this whole album is crazy. Common's ability to paint pictures with his storytelling is I think it's at one of his finest on this album. Not saying he hasn't done that before and hasn't done a great job, but it really grasped me, especially one of the tracks I'm gonna talk about. But yeah, man, like it's not super bar heavy like One Day It'll All Make Sense or anything like that, or Resurrection, but I think it's a trade-off, because if you want to look for bar, I mean, Common does get busy on one of the tracks, Hercules, which we'll get into in a bit, but the storytelling, the trade-off is the storytelling and the way he's able to paint pictures of what he's saying and the messages he's giving on this album. Yo, I'm sorry, I just can't hold my excitement. This is a very amazing. I did not think this album was gonna be this good. I'm sorry. He touches on multiple topics that deal with him himself, other people, and just the black community and the earth as a whole, as far as what we're going into, as far as what all of those things are going through in the year 2019, and the problems, and he goes really deep with each of those topics. So there's a bunch of different topics. He is very versatile on this album. You will not get bored, I swear to you. Man, the features are amazing too. From Daniel, I got the features here: Daniel Caesar, Swiss Beats, Lake Lee 47, BJ the Chicago Kid, A-Track, Jill Scott, always great, Leon Bridges, and Jonathan McReynolds. Yeah, they're all done great. A lot of them were more so vocalist, R&B, soulful singing features. Not a lot of rapping from the features. Common stuck. He handled the rapping, which is always good for a Common album. And man, oh yeah, and one of the tracks I'm gonna talk about is there's a sequel to I Used to Love Her. Now, mind you, there have been sequels done by not by Common. Like, there's, I don't know if you guys know, Teriyaki Boys. They were really famous for a bit for collaborating with guys like Pharrell, DJ Premier, Kanye West. I think they were on the Fast and Furious soundtrack, Tokyo Drift soundtrack. and they made a song called I Still Love Her, which featured Kanye West, which was kind of like a sequel to I Used to Love Her. So in a sense, the song on here, Her Love, is kind of like a part 3, kind of, but it's really a part 2 because it's being done by Common himself. I don't think he done a sequel. I could be wrong. Because I don't. After Finding Forever, a lot of Common's albums afterwards were kind of like muddy. I didn't really pay attention to it that much. But who knows? One day we'll do a Common discography review, and we'll get to him, which I actually want to do. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing. But, yeah, freaking Her Love is sort of like a part 2, and because he hasn't, I don't think he's done a sequel to that in any of the albums previous. I could be wrong, so if I am, comment, and if I am, forgive me. But yeah, and it's over Jay Dilla production, which is the only Jay Dilla beat I think on this album. And man, and it fits so well with the rest of the production on the album too, which is so crazy. Like, man, the video is dope too, and I'll get into that when we get into the favorite tracks, which you'll find very surprising. It's only 11 tracks and 47 minutes long, so it's not that long. It's very short and sweet, to the point. So for any of you guys that are very big fans of short albums, this is for you. Like, again, like, I don't see where there's a flaw. I mean, again, we're all different, so you might find some things in here that you may not like, that you might think is a dent, that may cause a dent in your listening pleasure. But, you know, like I said, we're all different. We all have opinions. I mean, the last thing I will say about this album before we get into the favorite tracks, man, is this. The feeling I got listening to this is the same feeling I got when I first listened to Jay-Z's American Gangster and Jay-Z's 444 and that Wiz Khalifa and Currency album 2009. Like, when I listened to those for the first time and the way they all flow, I knew that in the future, we still haven't, time is yet to tell with 2009 because it came out this year earlier, but as far as with American Gangster and 444, I knew that those albums were going to be considered classics the first day I listened to it. Now, obviously, when talking about classics, it's very, very absurd to deem anything a classic off first listen, simply because, you know, it's your first listen, so you're going through a certain high. You got to play it later on in life and let it live and see if it still holds up, you know. But I want to say something that Ninth Wonder said. He said a classic could be, because people feel like classic status takes years, whereas Ninth Wonder said that it could be decided within a matter of months, because you didn't need a couple of years to know that The Chronic was a classic, or that Midnight Marauders was a classic, or Illmatic, or Get Rich or Die Trying, or Good Kid, Mad City. Like, you didn't need years to tell you that these albums were monumental. So if I had to go off that, I mean, just based off what I'm feeling, you could disagree and say that it's too early, and I will agree with you too, but just the feeling I have listening to this body of work is like, man, I haven't enjoyed a Common project top to bottom like this off of first listen since probably B. And that says something, because a lot of people feel like B might be his best album. All I'm saying is, if in the future this is placed amongst Resurrection, like Water for Chocolate, and B amongst those elite classic status level albums, I'm not going to be surprised, because I already feel it now, but I'm going to give it time before I even go and start making statements like that, because again, it's too early. It only came out not even a week maybe. So anyways, favorite tracks. Now guys, you will be surprised, because with the exception of the only albums that I've reviewed so far that I've said that I won't skip anything is The Low End Theory and The Love Movement, where I'm adding this album to that collection of albums that I will not skip a single track on. Every single track on this album is amazing. Let's go over them. Good Morning Love, which is an uplifting track. It's very, very positive speaking about women and just about himself. He dabbles like within bars, different subjects. He touches different subjects within his bars. And at the end, as it tunes out, like as it fades out, you hear a little bit of like similar keynotes that are being played that sounds similar to the ending keynotes of Naga Champ. That like you'll hear it, and hopefully you'll catch it. You'll see what I'm saying. If not, then I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me, but I felt like I heard a little bit of callback from Naga Chat. So there's a callback to that. I'm like Water for Chocolate. Her Love again. It's I Used to Love Her Part 2 or Part 2, 3 technically if you include Teriyaki Boys and the Kanye. I Still Love Her, but and it's over J Dilla production, and I like the way how he incorporated all the people from nowadays that are kind of like leading the charge in the mainstream hip hop, and he included them and placed them. First of all, for them even to have their names mentioned, like Cardi B, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, uh, Tyler the Creator, and all of Our Future, Lil Uzi, 21 Savage, like that's like an honor almost. That is a big honor, especially that you're on the sequel to one of the best storytelling hip hop tracks of all time. I Used to Love Her. And the fact that Common, it's like Common is gladly passing the torch, even though he recognizes that it may not be his hip hop, and they may not be doing the hip hop that he appreciates, with the exception of J. Cole and Tyler and Kendrick, of course. But a lot of other people that he may mention, it's almost like ASAP Ferg too, and ASAP Rocky, like all those guys. It's almost like he's saying, you know what? It's up to you guys now. You guys lead the charge. You know, because he says all their names and connects them in the verse, and he says, "I still love you, hip hop." You know what I mean? Which to me tells me that no matter what they may sound like and what you may have liked that came years before, it's all hip hop, just different forms and different shapes, moving along with the times. Hip hop is still hip hop, and that will never change. So I love that shit, and I respect it. You know, I might not listen to half of those artists, but I respect what they do and the fact that hip hop is keeping them from doing something else. I think Cardi B was a stripper before she was rapping. You know what I mean? Who wants to strip for the rest of their life? Nothing against those people, but I'm just saying, like, you know, like it goes way deeper than that shit, and you know that's why hip hop is amazing. You know what I mean? Then you have Dwell's. I know this guy. I just I never could pronounce his name correctly. Dwell. So you know what? I'm not even gonna say it. But this person's interlude is nice. It's a short melody, and I love the instrumentation on it. Hercules is, you know, the one with Swizz Beatz, which I thought was going to be a little more poppy since I heard Swizz Beatz. I thought Swizz Beatz was going to rap. I thought he was going to get into his, it's showtime. Like, I thought he was going to do all that, but thankfully he didn't, and I didn't even mind him. He just had a couple of ad-libs, and I think he was on the hook maybe. And if you watch the video, Vince Staples is pretty funny in the video too. But yeah, he, you know, Common gets to flex lyrical muscle in here a little bit. So I love that track. Fifth Story, I love the hell out of this. This might be one of my favorite tracks. Probably maybe next to Her Love, maybe my second favorite track. The story he tells, like I was walking and I forgot I was walking when I was picturing this whole story play out about a woman coming home, and they've been together for 3 years, and you know, through the midst of her walking into the house, she smells perfume. It's not from her. And she goes in and talks to her husband. And then throughout the story, it eventually leads to her finding out that he was cheating on her. But the whole story is crazy. You have to listen to it. Shout out to Lake Lee 47, who I just found out today. She wears like bandanas over her face. So it's kind of like young MF Doom, just with her own touch on it. So respect to her for that creativity. Forever Your Love, the track about his mom. I love the instrumental. Like, I love all these instrumentals, but I love that the fact that he talks about his mom and like how the upbringing was between them two, and you know the ins and outs that they kind of went through. Love it. The Leader song, that beat is crazy. That's what I'll say about that track. And I think he gets to flex a little bit lyrical muscle there too. Memories of Home, that's one of probably his most personal tracks on the album. Talks about, you know, how his father, the early memories of his father, and how his father kind of was away, so he dabbled in the streets, and then he also, you know, got into it with his uncle. The stories about his uncle, but then the second verse, how he talked about how he, you know, trusted his cousin, and that he would always hang with his cousin, but then one day I think his cousin like molested him, started touching him where he, you know, in private areas. Because Common has opened up about it. I don't know if it was recently or in the past couple of years that he was molested as a kid, and that the only way he knew how to deal with that, and he even says it in the verses, that because usually when you're molested, they have you go to a counselor and stuff like that. But he decided that he was going to deal with it on his own, and that through his self-discipline, he kind of blocked that memory out and kind of just made pretend it didn't happen at all. So I mean, and I think the person that molested him was a male too, so it was one of his male cousins. I mean, I would have to listen to the track again, but I mean, still, molestation is molestation. So if you're a victim of it, then uh, man, that has to be hard. You know what I mean? I can't imagine going through something like that. But maybe that track will give you some inspiration on how to get through. You know what I mean? I've never been molested, so I can't say. But we're off track. This is the Common album. But yes, that's one of the deepest tracks on here. Memories of Home. Now, Show Me That You Love Me is the story. That's another deep track. It's about the gaping relationship between him and his daughter, and how the relationship has kind of been splintered, and it's only been growing since she's grown up. As she's grown up, he talks about how he felt that he was there a lot of the times earlier in her life, but as she grew up and as his career advanced, he kind of separated, and how she felt like maybe he was giving those affections of caring and being together with her to someone else. There's even a verse how he said that she felt a certain way about her looking at him hanging out with another woman and his kid. Like it's really, really deep. And then you have My Fancy Free Future Love, which is all about being free in love and relationships, and how relationships are advancing forward between man and woman. And that's great. And that instrumental is like one of the most upbeat ones on here too. A lot of the other ones are somber, like mellow, calm. This one's very, very upbeat. Sounds like you could play it on the radio and it could be like a single or something. And the hook is amazing too. I mean, I'm telling you, all the vocalists on here, and then God Is Love is basically I think about him talking about how God created certain things to be a certain way. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that track I love the instrumental, but it kind of lost me a little bit. But I will never ever skip it. It's the last track on the album, and it just works. Like, I mean, that's only 11 tracks, and that's pretty much the album right there. I can't really say that there's anything that I think is wrong with this album. I know it's first listen, I know it's a high, but for me, when I like something, I'm gonna end up tending to like it for a long period of time. You know what I mean? So, like, when something is great, it's great. You know what I mean? If it's really, really great, some albums they'll be great, but then after, as time passes, they're like, eh. Like, Controversial Statement, Get Rich or Die Trying was everything to me as a young kid. Like, that album was, but as I got older, it's like, well, it's still great, but it's dated. I don't have that same feeling for that album anymore. This, I could tell, like, since it's great, I think I'm going to be feeling the same way I feel now, a couple of years moving forward, coming back to revisit this album. I seriously doubt that my thoughts are going to change on this album. This album is amazing. And you know what? Fuck it. I'll say it, and I'll put it up there with Like Water for Chocolate, B, and Resurrection early. Of course, time will tell. I'm just saying, for me, like I said, when I know when I like something, I like it. I don't have to take years to, does it sound good now? Like, that doesn't happen with me. So I already know I'm putting it up there because this is that good to me, So if we're rating this album, I was originally gonna rate it a 4.4 or 4.5, just because I was gonna say that we need time to see if it's a classic or not, because I feel like it is. But you know what? I'm going ahead and saying it. I think this album is a 5 out of 5. That's right, 5 out of 5. I don't see any flaw. Like, what are you gonna say? He's not barring anybody. He has like at least 2 tracks that are like that, and even then, the storytelling and the vivid pictures he paints, along with the hooks and the singing and the instrumentation, the instrumentals, and the whole cohesiveness, the sequencing, all makes up for it. That's like 5 things that I've listed minus 1. Like, you know what I mean? So again, that's just me. This album is serious. When I first heard it, I immediately told everybody I knew to go and listen to this album, because it is that good. Common, thank you, God bless you. Because he's a movie, But yeah, he's not. He's beyond a rapper. He's an author. He's an actor, a very good one. He has Grammys and all that. He could be doing anything right now and spending the rest of his career doing acting or writing novels or things like that, autobiographies. Like, he could be doing that instead. But the fact that he's able to do that, come back and put the time and effort it took to put some focus on making the album that could stand the test of time, in my opinion, with his big three, with Resurrection, Like Water for Chocolate, and B, that says something. Not a lot of rappers are able to do that, especially those that came from that time. Only a select few can, but we know who they are. You know what I mean? So, again, time's probably running out, so I'm going to make this quick. Mr. CJ Kid 1231. Comment, let love, 5 out of 5. Like, comment, tell me what you think about the album. And, subscribe only if you feel like it's, like, if I'm worth the subscription, I'm not like everybody else like saying subscribe. You know what I'm saying? My saying goes, subscriptions are earned, not asked for. So with that said, we'll see what other albums. It's probably going to be a while before I go to the Q-Tip album, Amplified, and complete the Tribe discography. I'm definitely going to be reviewing a lot more current stuff within that time frame. I don't know when I'll go back to the Q-Tip album. So next, I'm thinking about reviewing you know what? We'll leave it as a surprise. That's what we're going to do. We're going to leave it as a surprise. And until then, I will see you guys next time for the next hip-hop album review. Peace.